Love this podcast? Support it and sponsor today. Simply head to ozcastnetwork.com for details.
Welcome to Hong Kong Confidential. I'm Jules Hannaford and I'm your host. I'm an Australian woman and I've been living in Hong Kong for many years. I'm a mother, a teacher, an author, and I want to share my wisdom and the wisdom of others with you. Thanks for joining me, and I hope you enjoy the show.
You meet someone online and there's this instant connection. It's amazing how much the two of you just seem to click. They live somewhere far away and there's some plausible reason they can't travel to meet you. They tell you they're in love with you and you feel optimistic for the first time in a long time. They have a successful career, yet somehow they need money from you to solve a short-term problem, always with the promise of paying you back. Time goes on and they need more money more urgently. You've started to see the cracks and begin to wonder whether they've been lying this whole time. All of a sudden it hits you. You've been scammed. Fool Me Twice is the story of my mother, Jules Hannaford, a woman who was drawn into the dangerous world of sweetheart scams. After a trip overseas to meet a stranger, a dangerous altercation in a Manchester hotel room, and thousands of pounds lost for good, she's here to tell her story. Fool Me Twice, a true crime podcast, is available on Apple Podcasts, Ozcast Network, and anywhere you listen to your podcasts.
Today I'm here with Damien Mulick. Hi Damien, thanks for joining me today.
Hi, Jules. Nice to see you again. It's been a while.
It's great to see you. I haven't seen you for a few weeks. So for my listeners out there, Damien's an osteopath and he fixes all of my sore parts. So Damien, how did you become an osteopath?
Well, originally I was studying medicine in Paris. And after 2.5 years of medical school, I was sent to Melbourne University, do 6 months and do a couple of electives at the time. I then discovered while I was studying there and also having a great time, by the way, because I was like...
Because you're in Melbourne.
Melbourne, and I was 22 years old and the French exchange student, so life was pretty good. I discovered, I was talking to the head of anatomy at Melbourne Uni, Chris Briggs at the time, and he said to me, why not you do something like osteopathy since you're such interested in anatomy? And I didn't know what it was. So he introduced me to the head of the faculty, which was a surgeon at the time, Dr. Peter Gibbons, who made me go through an interview and had a chat, and I just basically found out what I was interested in, who I was, what I like to do. He said to me, listen, we got about 2,000 applications a year, so we take 40. So, yeah, you seems like you like anatomy and you could be a good fit, but I can't promise you anything. Went back to France, back to med school, and 6 months later, I got a fax, because at the time people were sending fax. I don't know if you remember the time.
I do remember faxes,
and,
given that I'm older than
my dad
you.
got a fax at his work. He goes, some universities sent me a fax saying you've been accepted into the course. So then I'm like, great, I've been accepted. Frankly speaking, I wanted to get back to Australia.
Because Australians have more fun than the French.
Way more fun. The weather was better. The people were nicer, so I was like...
Sorry,
okay.
Apologies to any French people listening.
Let's go. I'm half French, so I'm okay with it.
Yeah. Don't take it personally.
I know. And went back to Australia and did a 5-year degree in osteopathy. So double degree, bachelor and double masters with a thesis in psychoneuroimmunology, which was fantastic. And I never looked back. And that's now been my job for 20 years.
Oh my gosh. And so were you happy to move out, becoming a doctor and doing medicine and move into osteopathy?
Well, in Australia, osteopathy is at university level and it's in a faculty that's quite recognized. You're primary healthcare practitioners, you're a doctor, and you basically can do lots of stuff. You see a different spectrum of patients. You really help patients directly. It's not too invasive. You don't have as much paperwork also. You have much more time with patients. You spend 30 to 40 minutes with every patient, which is much better than 10 to 15 minutes in and out, giving out Panadol, giving out. So, but, at the time it was basically my career changed, and that path that got really given to me on a silver platter at the time by 2 different doctors is the best path for me now. And I'm enjoying my job. I love it.
Yeah.
I wouldn't do anything else.
Yeah. So no regrets.
No regrets. No, totally no regrets of the path I chose. No, totally not.
I believe that the stress levels for doctors are really, really high, but for you as an osteopath, you wouldn't perhaps have that level of stress. Do you think that the medicos have?
It depends how you practice. If you want to practice very quickly and see a patient every 15, 20 minutes, which some osteopaths do, or like chiropractors, you just see high turnover of patients. You have to pack your day. I mean, my days are pretty busy as it is. I see 15 patients a day, and I spend like half an hour to 45 minutes with each patient. So it gives me a bit of time to relax with each patient. So I don't have to rush them through the door. I can listen to them. I can get to the bottom of the problems. And I run clinics, so that's a little bit stressful in a way.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's separate, isn't it? You've kind of own your own business on top of being an osteopath.
Yeah, being an osteopath is not stressful. It's actually quite relaxing in a way. I find that my days are, even though I'm busy, it's kind of relaxing to be with people, to help people. It's very gratifying to just get people better. And yeah, it's not really major stress level. You don't have any like deadlines and KPIs, and you're not worried about your job. You're self-employed. Sometimes the patient doesn't get better. It's a bit stressful. Find out what they've got.
Like my neck still hurts, by the way.
Oh, okay, all right. Let's go lay on the table now.
I'm back for my third. Yeah, I know you'll nail it this time.
Okay, fine. You got faith in me for this one.
I do. I have faith.
Yeah, so no, it's really gratifying. Yeah, and of course you got some patients that are difficult, and sometimes you got to give like bad news to patients. You send someone for a test and the test comes up, but not as bad as a GP, and you get better results long term. You form a relationship with people. You get to know people.
Well, that's what's so brilliant about you as an osteopath. You really talk to people and connect with them, and you look at so many aspects of their life rather than just, oh, I've got a sore neck, let me fix your neck. You look at diet and the way that I stand and the way that I'm interacting and what I'm doing during my day and all of these different things. So it's quite sort of holistic what you're doing, and that's really cool. Do all osteopaths do it that way? Is it part of the osteopath manual for success?
Well, osteopathy is that. So the word holistic is becoming more and more popular these days. Everyone talks about holistic this, holistic that. Personally, I find the word a bit irritating because you go, everyone uses it like left, right, and center.
Yeah. You're more into functional medicine, yeah?
Well, it's the same. It's the same.
Okay. So it's just a different term for the same thing.
Yeah, because the guy who invented functional medicine, Jeff Bland, got a lot of his ideas from the osteopathic curriculum. So if you go back in history, if you go back in the 1800s, for example, it's very interesting when you read those books of the 1800s of medicine, because some of the doctors were already practicing functional medicine. You read the book of the guy who invented osteopathy was an MD, Dr. Andrew Taylor Still. He used to talk to some high caliber doctors. They used to say, you need to look at the lifestyle, you need to look at the diet, you need to look at the environment, you need to look at the pollution that the people live in to make sure you make an adequate diagnosis. And if, for example, the gut is problematic, you need to feed it something differently in the diet. So that's very similar to functional medicine. You work upstream. You'll try to work out what the cause of the problem is. The founder of osteopathy, Dr. Andrew Taylor Still, was even more advanced because he used to say, there is no point looking at all those lifestyle issues, diet issues, and any drugs that the patient has been taking to get better. If the gut itself is not functioning, it will not absorb anything. Hence, we should look at the blood supply and the nervous system going to the guts, the enteric nervous system, to make sure that the motility of the guts, the absorption of the guts is working properly. Otherwise, there is no point feeding it differently, giving it drugs or giving it anything. It won't work.
Oh, that's so interesting. I didn't know that. So this is why you're often so interested in what people are eating and how they're sort of living their life.
Yeah, I need to know as a result. for example. So osteopathy is a medicine, is a type of medicine. So basically, if you go back in history again, in the late 1800s, one doctor decided that he was going to change the way you look at medicine. So instead of feeding the body drugs to make it better, we're going to fix the body from the inside so the body can adapt to what's happening to him. So for example, if you've got an infection that targets the lungs, we're going to treat the sympathetic nervous system to the lung and the blood supply to the lungs to make sure that the lungs can regenerate better and do not get ill.
Ah, I see.
You see what I mean?
Yeah.
So you go and treat the cause. So you get basically trained that way. All osteopaths get trained that way. Doesn't mean they apply it. Functional medicine is the same. You look at the way different systems interact. So how the hormonal system, the nervous system, the gastrointestinal system, the stress levels of the patients, the environment, the genetics, how everything affects the body. And you try and link all the dots and you try and find out where the primary problem is. It's like everything. If you do not treat the primary problem, it will not cascade in a resolution.
Yeah, that makes sense. And it feels like in medicine or when you see a GP, often, not everybody, like I have seen some GPs that seem to do it that way, but it's very rare. They just sort of diagnose, give you the medicine, see you later. But I guess that's because they're on such tight time constraints.
Yes and no.
Or is it just the way that they operate?
But at med school, you get basically trained a different way. You get trained into a Cartesian model.
What does that mean, Cartesian?
Cartesian comes from René Descartes, which is the French philosopher, which is a cause and effect. So basically, you get a diagnostic sieve, which you consider different things like genetic cause, iatrogenic cause, but you go cause and effect, and you have a reductionist view to try and nail it to the most likely cause. In osteopathy, you do that to eliminate red flag, but then you open up to find where the primary is.
Oh, I see.
So once you've gone back to narrowing the area, because whenever someone comes to see you as a patient, they always say, I've got a problem with my knee, I've got a problem with my guts, I've got a problem with my elbow. And automatically as humans, we go and look where the problem is. Often, this is a consequence and a cascade of events that has happened over the last 2 months, 3 weeks, 2 years, 10 years that has led to that problem. So we need to work upstream, work backwards to find out where the primary was. Once you've treated the primary and you fix the primary, the consequences resolve.
Oh, that's so interesting. So it's much more investigative and you just go on many more layers and in much more depth.
Well, you need to do that. It's not very easy. And as you said before, it's impossible to do in 15 minutes.
Yeah.
You have to spend time with the patient. You have to get to know, because you never get all the information straight away.
Yeah, absolutely. I remember my sciatica. And I was told I needed an operation by a surgeon on my back. And I came to see you a few times and you fixed it. I could barely walk. But you did a whole sort of look at my whole lifestyle and the way that I was eating and sleeping and everything. And you were able to fix it. It was a miracle. Like, it was so amazing.
So the first treatment, you have a look at the whole thing. But for example, in the case of a sciatica, often it's really easy to work 2 or 3 steps up and find out what's happening in the upper body, in the upper spine. So sometimes, a lot of the time, with low back pains, you need to go and treat the neck. You need to go and treat the lower body. You need to go and check the ankles. You need to see if that person has had previous knee injuries or hip injuries.
Yeah, exactly. So what kind of conditions do you normally treat as an osteopath? Like, somebody's not going to come to you with a heartburn or something, are they? Is it more physical?
They do come to me with other ailments like insomnia, heartburn, digestive problems.
Do they? I think I need to come see you more often.
It depends. Most people.
I imagined an osteopath was like about physical, like joints and movement.
This is how it evolved, but osteopathy is actually structure, a pathology of the structure. So the osteopath believes that the structure governs the function. So if you're sitting all day and you're squishing your guts and you're not basically breathing properly, you're going to have digestive disorders. Your breathing is going to be affected. Your drainage going through your diaphragm is going to be affected. So that's an example of how the structure is going to affect the function. If you squeeze your arm for too long, you reduce the blood supply, the function of the hand is going to be reduced. So you look at the structure at a musculoskeletal level. So looking at the frame, looking at the way the muscles are, the way the ligaments are, the way the nervous, and see how that impairs physiology. So you can do it. Originally, osteopathy is a medical model, science-based medicine was got an artistic skill that is palpation to have a feel of what is happening at a structural level.
Oh, I like the way you put that. That's great.
I'm not going to be able to repeat it again.
Yeah, no, I'm going to have to listen to it. I'd like to repeat it back to you, but I can just remember artistic and palpation. But that is really actually very poetic, and it makes sense. Like, I remember I came to you with a really sore back and you're chatting and you're checking out what I've been doing, and you discovered that in COVID, while I'm teaching at home, I'm sitting on the floor, and you're like, stop sitting on the floor. So I bought myself a great chair, sat up at a desk to do my work, and it made a world of difference.
And now you've got
if we hadn't
no
had that
back
conversation
pain anymore. You've got neck
no,
pain.
I mean neck pain. Now we sort that out, for goodness sake. So my back pain is sorted. But if we hadn't had a conversation about my lifestyle and what I was doing, and if you were just cracking my back, you would not have solved that problem the way that it needed to be solved.
Exactly.
But when I come to see you, it kind of feels like you're intuitive, like there's this weird spooky thing going on, like you just kind of know stuff, like you can either feel it in my body or you sense it or whatever. Is that what goes on? Like, are you like a weird, like, psychic?
The more you get to see patients, the more you see patterns. Okay. And if you see a dysfunction, as you get older in my job, I've been doing this job.
I thought you were going to say how old I am.
No, don't worry. Everyone knows you're 28. Okay.
Don't worry, my listeners know I'm nearly 55 this year. Yeah, sorry. As you get older and wiser,
you start feeling your sense of palpation and the tension in the tissues, the structural frame, everything becomes like, oh, you can sense straight away. You see someone walking into your room, you already have an idea of what's going on.
Yeah, see, isn't that a psychic thing though?
No,
like, it's
because
really weird. It feels like it's psychic.
You observe the pattern. You can you can read people. You can read if are they stressed, are they angry, are they pissed off? Are they pissed off because I'm running late? Oh no, all that stuff. You know?
Yeah, my friend came to see you. Is this guy always late? She texts me. I'm like, always. Sorry, I should have warned you. You could have rocked up later.
I'm getting hypnosis to get better.
No, but people, once they see you, they don't mind that you're late because they know that you are giving them this amazing 45 or 40-minute session where you're getting to the bottom of stuff. So once people see you, I mean, you've never been on time for me in the whole 15 years I've been seeing you, but I've never worried about it at all.
Okay, well, that's good. But because people get upset when you run late, though.
But
you know?
do they?
Yeah.
But even people that have been seeing you for a while? I guess everyone's so busy, aren't they?
They've got to be here, they've got schedules.
Yeah, they've got to be somewhere
I'm trying to always get to my receptionist to say, come on, 10, 15 minutes behind, never works out. But,
all right.
Every day's a shambles. Yeah.
It's okay. Every day's a shambles, but you're curing people. So that's the key. So you're reading people, but how do you just know to ask the right questions? And sometimes they're really left of field questions that as a patient you wouldn't expect. But then it's linked to what's going on. And it really, honestly, could you just tell me that you are psychic and make me feel happier?
Well, I would like to be psychic, but, you know, as I say, you see pattern. You see someone say they come in and they go, oh, yeah, I've been working from home. It's not working. I'm like, okay, are your kids homeschooled at the moment? Yes, you'll be straight. You know, so basic questions, but sometimes those basic questions, they just connect the dots for the patient.
Yeah, absolutely.
So sometimes it feels like so obvious. The amount of people that I have fixed with low back pain by saying, can you stop sitting on your wallet for me, please, and take the wallet out of your back pocket?
Oh, you're kidding me.
Amazing.
Are you kidding?
And they just do it and they go, my back pain's gone, because they've been sitting on their back pain for 10 years because they sit with lopsided.
So then do you ask a lot of people, what do you have in your back pockets?
No, I don't, because I can.
Oh, you can see the wallet when they come in.
I get them to stand up and they take their wallet out of the back pocket, and I can see that the pocket of the jean is just bulging out, stretched out. So I say, You always carry your wallet in your right back pocket. Yeah. How do you know? I says, I can see it. It's not really psychic. It's just obvious. So I suggest you take that wallet out of your back pocket.
Oh, that's so amazing. Yes.
Basic stuff like that, right?
So it's like those mentalists. So you're a mentalist.
Let's not try and put me in a box. Yeah.
Hey, I was giving you a compliment.
I know.
Like Darren Brown.
It's like, this guy's mental. No, he's a mentalist. Relax. People are getting confused out there,
But it is. You are like some kind of mentalist because you read people. I mean, can you see such a difference? Because 6 months ago, can you see a huge difference in my demeanor now that my anxiety's gone compared to when you were seeing me when I had anxiety, when I walk in the door?
Yes, but I've known you for a long time.
Yeah. So
I've
it's
seen
easier.
you through different phases.
Yeah.
So when you're stressed, or when people are stressed in general, and I know them, what their normal demeanor is, and they walk in stress, I can pick it up.
Yeah. Yeah, it's amazing. Anyway, I still think you're psychic, but anyway, thanks for not agreeing. But yeah, that's an absolutely fascinating part of your job. And I think that is the key, I feel, to why you are so good at your job. Like, you're amazing as an osteopath. And I think that's the key. Do you agree with me, or do you think that there's something else that makes you amazing?
Thank you, Jules, for saying that I'm amazing as an osteopath.
Yeah, you are. You are, but I hope you don't get booked out so I can't get in. Don't look for him, anyone.
I love my job.
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah,
so...
Yeah. And that probably pays dividends as well because
it
you
makes
love
a
it,
big
so
difference.
You put energy and time
you walk into
passion
work,
into it.
And yeah, of course, you have good days and bad days. And some days you're like, wow, it's bad weather. I really would like to stay at home and chill out. But once you get started, you see people, you help people. It's, and sometimes you don't necessarily help people for what they came in for.
Yeah, that's so true. That's
and
been my
they walk
experience.
out and they go, my knee's still sore, but I feel so much better.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm so much mentally clearer because I've realized that my problem is that.
Yeah.
But my knee's still sore.
Exactly.
Okay. But they're still happy.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's a process,
Yeah, and it is a process. And I imagine people, when they come to you, they can't necessarily expect to walk out one time and be completely fixed. I guess it happens sometimes, because it has happened to me sometimes.
It happens
other times you've got to come back. Yeah.
And that's very, very dangerous.
Because why?
Because they go and talk and they say,
this guy will fix you immediately. In one go. Yeah.
Then they send me someone. I'm like, oh, that's more complicated. But you fix my friend in one go. I'm like, okay, but
yeah, that was luck.
different was luck,
Yeah. Or different issues as well. Yeah.
So
no, that's absolutely true. So you talked about functional medicine a little bit and how it's linked, similar sort of thing to holistic medicine. But how do you do functional medicine at your clinic?
So functional medicine is a way of thinking. It's not something you practice functional medicine, but anyone can practice functional medicine, like practicing osteopathy. You work upstream. You try and work on the cause of the problem. So you try and look at all the different systems and physiology of the body to target the cause.
And so within your clinic, then you offer lots of different kind of services, which then becomes functional medicine because you've got different aspects of medicine here.
Yes. So the clinic only offers allied health, so alternative medicine. We work with GPs in a collaboration with other clinics just to do specific tests. And when we need someone requires specific medications, we send them to just other clinics. But on the whole, functional medicine is a good mental health, good sleeping habits, good eating habits, making sure you're happy in your psychosocial environment, happy at work, and reduce all the stressors in your life. Once you've done that, you're a step ahead. Now, most people don't know how to do that altogether, or most people don't eat well. Most people don't know how to manage their stress. Most people don't know how to manage their ailments because the stress leads to their ailments and leads to bad habits and leads to depression. And so it's a snowball effect. Functional medicine is very, very simple in a way. Just goes back to basics and make sure you clear everything up.
So, sorry, how do you know what to address though, whether it's the sleep or the eating or the well-being or the physiology? Sorry.
Well, you take a history to start with and you find out what the patient is coming in complaining of. So, for example, someone's coming complaining of multiple joint pain. They've done x-rays, they've done some blood tests. People are looking for arthritic problems, osteoarthritis, rheumatoid arthritis, autoimmune conditions. Not much, nothing, maybe borderline, a little bit of inflammation. Then we dig in a little bit. So what's your lifestyle? What do you do for work? Oh, I'm a banker. So I work at trader all day and I'm at a desk 10, 12 hours a day. And it's quite stressful. And yes, okay. And you eat well? Well, I live on my own. So in the last 6 years, haven't been eating too well. And I mostly go out and I have a few drinks and, I'm single, so I don't really like to cook for myself. So I eat a lot of junk and I've put on a bit of weight. And I say, so the next question is, so how's your digestion? How do you feel? Oh, I feel terrible. I'm no longer regular. I feel bloated, constipated, a bit of diarrhea. And some people said, my GP said I had IBS. I'm like, oh, okay, you've got IBS symptoms here. Yeah, and I'm trying to fix it. And I've got reflux because, I drink alcohol because I go out with some boys like 4 or 5 times a night.
5 times a week.
A week, yeah.
4 or 5 times a night. That's a big night.
So, and I come in late and I don't sleep enough. And I'm like, okay, so you spend time with the patient and they tell you all those basic things that happens when you're working as a banker in Hong Kong. So A, you're not sleeping enough. B, you're not eating properly. C, you've got a stressful job. D, you're drinking too much alcohol.
Okay. And you're not exercising.
And you're probably not exercising. Or if you do exercise, you exercise on the weekend, you decide to do a 25-kilometer hike, and then you go up and down the Twins a few times. And that's probably why you've got knee pain, right? And joint pain. Okay, what about the elbow? Well, if you're feeling like your gut is not quite right, you might have a bit of leaky gut. You might be a little bit toxic. Toxicity will go to the joint and the skin. So we need to address the cause. Let's change your lifestyle. Some practitioners who practice like that try to get the patients to make the change on their own. And they wash their hands of, I've given you the advice, you can go and make the change. Most people need to be followed through with the change. So you just help them a little bit by little bit. Say, okay, first of all, let's target your sleep. Because if you don't sleep, nothing repairs. Okay, so let's have a look, let's have a feel, let's relax them. Let's say, okay, you're stressed, why aren't you going to talk to someone? There's a psychologist there. Maybe they can help you manage your stress. The hypnotherapist might be able to help you with that. Why don't you take some magnesium in the evening to just relax your muscles and reduce your stress, sleep better? Second visit, we start addressing the guts. How's the guts going? Yeah, good. What do you eat? What's your typical diet? Okay, I feel that, like most people, when I eat too much wheat, I feel bloated. When I eat dairies, I feel, okay, reduce that, try eating more greens, start just, creating a bit more diversity in your diet, making sure you drink more water, go to bed 1 hour earlier. It's pretty basic, yeah? All those things.
Yeah.
But you have to accompany the patients through that journey of transformation.
Yeah. And you're really good at that. And I think you're good at inspiring people to give things a go.
Yeah, you don't, it doesn't work on everybody, but once your people see a change at a small level, they're willing to go and take you on for the journey. If you give them all the information at once and say, do all that at once, it doesn't work.
Yeah,
You do
so
little
do it
bits
step
by
by
little
step,
bits,
yeah.
step by step. They see the change. At the same time as you fix the ailments, they start feeling that their joints are feeling less achy. Their sleep is better. Their bloating is reduced. They're not having as much fun with the boys, but this has got to come to an end eventually.
Sacrifices,
Exactly.
yeah. We all have to grow up at some
Or you
stage.
have to just, reduce or start drinking maybe 1 glass of red wine, reduce the beer, reduce that, maybe the beer, just gauge it with them. Because sometimes the most obvious things for people, they can't see it. It's difficult for them to see. But when you present it to them, they see it and it jumps out. The amount of people that go back to work after seeing me and realize that they got a sore neck to the computers on the right, which makes sense, but you don't see it till you've been asked the question, Is your computer right in front of you? Are you eating? Are you drinking enough water? Basic stuff.
Yeah.
So functional medicine, if it's a complicated case, you try to reverse the case by going back to basics and working upstream. Does that answer your question?
Yeah,
George?
absolutely. That's perfect. And that really brings me to my next question about how the collaboration between the practitioner and the patient is so important. You support them, but you've got to have your patient on board willing to give things a go. And it ebbs and flows, doesn't it? I know as your patient that I, can be really super motivated and then I give up, but then I get back on it and it chops and changes.
The most important thing is the relationship because it's a teamwork. You come in and you say, I want you to fix my knees. I says, yes, but we're going to have to work together. So the first thing to do, or the most important thing, is make sure that the practitioner and the patients get on well. Because it does happen that suddenly you just personality clash. It doesn't work. Now, it's very important as a practitioner to also recognize it straight away because I've had some patients walk in and suddenly there's a certain friction. We don't agree on something and you can't get on well with everyone. You can't please everyone, okay? But if you recognize that straight away and you say, which I haven't said, listen, I think you'd better off seeing one of my colleagues, and they just suddenly go, oh, they get a bit offended that you suddenly suggest, something, and they go, okay, so they kind of strut away and maybe not see the colleague, but often they go and you don't charge them. I say, listen, it's not going to work here. It seems like you need to see something more. Someone's more specific, more your type for that. They see your colleague, or they've seen the same clinic or another clinic. You see them again, and then the treatment works. And then you click because you've given them the right advice at that right time. And suddenly they're happy to engage at your level or you're happy to engage at their level. Something changes. Something's shifted.
Yeah. Is it because you've given them sort of professional respect or you've acknowledged the elephant in the room kind of thing?
Maybe.
Yeah.
So, but you need to be, and it requires a certain level of integrity and a certain level of judgment at the time to be able to do that, and experience. When you're young, you say, I'm going to get focused on fixing someone, even if they say, you're not going to be able to fix me, you're not going to be able to fix me. You fix that, no, I'm going to do it. If they are resistant to start with and it's not working, the relationship is not working, you have to let it go. It may be not the right time. Maybe the relationship will work in 3 weeks, 3 years.
Yeah, exactly. And that's a great way of looking at it. But there's a need to prove yourself when you're younger. And as we all get older and we're established in our careers, that need to prove ourselves kind of is not there so much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
that's the same for me as well.
Yeah, same for me.
Yeah. Tell me about Central and Stanley Wellness. How did you create your clinics and what are some of the services that you offer here?
I created the first clinic in Stanley about 9 years ago in 2011. And it's a small clinic. It was just a multidisciplinary clinic to service the people in Stanley. Because working in Central at the time, I used to treat a lot of mums and babies and kids who couldn't come to Central all the time. And the French population is quite large in Stanley. So I thought, may as well set up a little clinic in Stanley to service those people and to make sure that they don't have to come into town and it's less complicated. So it's a small little clinic, a couple of treatment rooms, a little dispensary, and just a few supplements, a few practitioners, different modalities coming from Central. Most of the practitioners work either with me in Central now or in other clinics also, which I'm totally fine with. And they come 1 or 2 shifts and they service the patients that need to be seen. So naturopath, a physiotherapist, osteopath, nutritionist, psychologist, child psychologists, counselors, acupuncture at one stage.
Meditation
Also.
Yeah.
We're just looking at now meditation is part of the functional medicine model. So I really want to have meditation teachers come and help people just really calm down and calm their nervous system.
So I think that's helped me a lot. That's something that I've been doing a lot of lately. And I think it's made a massive difference in how I feel doing meditation. It's amazing.
It's huge.
Yeah.
Because we all really like what we call sympathetically loaded. So the sympathetic nervous system is your flight or fight response where
And it releases adrenaline, doesn't it?
constantly
And then that
we're like
adrenaline causes anxiety or stress.
the zebra being chased by the lion, the classic story, right? So
Fight, flight, or freeze.
we're the zebra,
and I'm
right?
a fighter.
Yeah, so and we can't, especially in Hong Kong where we've had like there's lots of stress, everything's expensive. You can't really like relax and chill out for a few weeks and take a few weeks off. People have to work here. They have to just, it's quick. Everything happens really fast. The pace is
Super
pretty,
fast,
yeah,
isn't it, in Hong Kong? And also everyone works long hours.
Everyone
as
works
well.
long hours. Everyone works on weekends. It's kind of unsustainable for a lifetime.
Yeah. And why did you decide to start your own clinic rather than working for other people? And was that a big kind of financial risk or an emotional risk, or was it any kind of risk?
There's always a risk when you start your own clinics, but it's much more simple for me to have my own businesses and having practitioners, surrounding myself with practitioners who think the same way, just to make sure that everyone's happy, running it like I basically treat my family, or making sure that everyone's happy here and just having a different ethos and way of working. It's
nice to have you have control of the environment and the people that work in it. So it's much better, isn't it, than if you're working for someone else?
Yeah, I have people who do want to work with me, and I've got about 10 receptionists that work within the 2 clinics that are really great. We've got a really big retention of staff and practitioners. I've got an osteopath that's been working with me for 8 years.
Oh, that's amazing.
Okay, and he only does like 1 shift or 2 in Stanley and occasionally, but it's just great, to have some guys who are like that, loyal and they're super chilled out, and we just have a couple of meetings occasionally, talk shop.
That's cool.
It's just relaxed. I like it when it's a relaxed environment and no pressure on the practitioners, no pressure on the staff. They can work part-time. They can work when they want. The staff can work from home, the admin staff. Everyone has got a lot of freedom, and we try to keep it. It's a small business, so it's not like there's not much red tape. You want to do something, you ask me straight away. You want to take 3 months off, that's fine. Go for it. No problem.
I can imagine you'd be really cool to work for. You'd be a great boss.
Yeah, I'm pretty chilled out usually.
I can imagine. Yeah.
Usually.
Usually until someone crosses you then. What do you love most about your career?
I like my patients. I like coming to work every day and seeing my list for the day and seeing my patient. It's like, wow, cool. I'm going to see Jules today, see what she's up to. Okay, let's talk. We always talk about not only what the problem is, we talk about other stuff,
Yeah, we connect and catch up, which is really nice.
And, and I've got lots of patients like that. So I don't really need to go out and socialize, on the weekends or in the evenings because But if I do go out and I'm somewhere in Wyndham Street and having a drink in a bar, people look at me like, "What? Who let him out?"
Yeah. You don't look right being outside of your little office.
In that little room.
Yeah, exactly. That's so funny. So I guess you don't go out as much these days as well because you're a dad now. So what's that like, being a father of 3 daughters and having to run a business and keep everything afloat and having a working wife as well?
Well, so you kind of adapt to every situation, yeah. Firstly, having 3 daughters is amazing. Just feel great, You're like all the girls running around. They jump in your bed in the morning, You're like, "Hey, Daddy, can I get this? Can I get? Hey, Daddy." I'm like, ooh, I feel special,
That's so great. That's so cool.
No, it's really good, And my wife is absolutely fantastic, man. She's a partner of a law firm. She's great. She's very patient with the kids, super mum. So no, it balances out. It's difficult sometimes, no doubt.
Yeah.
When you've got long hours, she's got long hours, and you're like, oh, the kids feel. But most weekends, we're just 100% time with the kids. We spend holidays. We make sure we have like big stints, not these days, but we used to go to Europe, Australia, spend like 2-3 weeks like with the kids every day, do activities. I try and take one afternoon off during the week or come home early to just do something with the girls.
Oh, that's nice.
So we try to have breakfast all together in the morning, and It's just like
those little things are important, aren't they?
they add up.
And they can make a difference. Yeah.
With COVID and having spent time, in confinement when I came back from Europe and spent 2-3 weeks with the girls every day and the whole family. And suddenly it's good to see they start doing their things on their own and they start ignoring you. Like, you're not in the room anymore. They don't really need you.
Oh, yeah.
It's like
because they're used to you being there rather it being a treat.
So you're not a treat anymore.
Yeah.
So this is what's happening now. So, you come home and you go, I'm home. My Neil's going, okay,
Yeah. We've just seen you for 3 weeks. Whatever.
We've seen you every day.
Yeah. What do you think COVID's taught you about what's important in life? Has it made you think differently about anything?
I've had a newborn baby this year. So it's a perfect year for me for COVID, yeah? COVID would have happened any other year, I would have been pissed off. Since I can't go anywhere because I've got a newborn, I'm okay with it, yeah?
Yeah.
But
so you've got to spend more time with your baby and your little girl.
Spend more time with the family and I don't really mind. That whole thing about, it's good to get away, but it's also, you go and spend 3 weeks in Europe. You've got 3 kids. You got 3 kids between 0 and 6. You get there, you got jet lag for a week. You've got to see the in-laws, sometimes it's like,
it can be stressful, can't it?
It can be stressful because you're out and then your kids don't sleep. You don't sleep. You jet lag. You have to do things.
COVID has kind of made us all decompress a bit, hasn't it? And take time for ourselves and rethink about our well-being or our family or what we do with our kids and things like that. So it's not been great by any means, but there have been some changes that can help people, I think, perhaps.
It has been difficult for some people because they feel that they've been confronted with themselves. And people find it difficult to just look at themselves and see who they are, what they do, and their head starts spinning and they start questioning.
And they can feel anxious about the virus itself. Anxiety's on the rise.
Anxiety about where are we going? When am I going to have a job? Where is this going? I'm living in a small apartment. Can't go out. Can't go and do exercise. Can't go do. For me, meditation is the next big thing.
Yeah.
You saw in the last 15 years yoga take off.
Yes, now meditation.
Yoga is actually originally a means to cross your legs
and meditate
and be able to meditate.
That's right. They are linked.
You do 15 minutes of yoga, you cross your legs and you meditate for an hour because the key is meditation.
So that's what I've been doing.
People are going to realize
that. These amazing yoga classes where we spend the last 20 minutes meditating with singing bowls. And it's just fantastic. Like, I absolutely love it. And I feel like it's just changed the way that I feel. It's made me feel, because I was very anxious in the beginning of COVID as well and just feeling stressed about it all. And now I just feel so much better, which is really good. It's great. And I just think meditation has been a huge thing for me, which I'm going to continue, and yoga, both of them. And I've done some meditation with Dino as well, who's fantastic. And he works here. He's amazing.
Yeah, Dino's fantastic.
He's brilliant. I love his sessions.
Totally great. Yes.
So I'm hoping that they'll start up again soon because of the restrictions are lifting.
They are starting up in the next, I think it's 4 now that you can gather.
Right. Yes, it is.
So
4.
I think we're starting up next week again.
Oh,
with
brilliant.
Groups of 4.
Well, I've just given out your clinic details to a couple of people who have been asking about his meditation.
Well, I encourage people here to do the meditation that we do here is like really basics, very affordable for people.
Yes, it is so affordable.
The key is I built a yoga studio, a meditation studio in the clinic to encourage my patients to go and meditate and do some physical activities. So very, very low cost.
Yes.
Okay, it's not about how you're going to make money about it. It's about getting people to change and initiating them to just that little half an hour every day that they can spend with themselves and be comfortable with their mind. Yeah.
And also, if you do it with Dino, you can learn the techniques that you can then use for yourself at night before you go to bed and things like that. And I've been doing that as well. And it's just helped so much. It's great.
Totally.
Yeah. I swear by it. And I was so kind of, whatever about meditation for a long, long time. And now I can see the value in it
You'll
much.
see in the next 5 years, meditation studios opening up everywhere. And the ones who could do well and combine meditation and yoga and do it in a pure way, like something for people to go and relax and chill out, they're the ones who are going to do well.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, how amazing. What are the biggest challenges that you face as an osteopath and somebody running your own business?
The biggest challenges are to keep everybody happy. The harmony of the clinic at a staff level, at a practitioner level. You can't please everyone. Not everybody is going to be a good fit for this practice. People are going to be better off in other practices, which is fine. Okay. Sometimes you have a gut feeling when you say, you're not going to work out that well because I feel that your personality may not match. So I give people always a go, unless it's really not a good fit straight away. But often I find that intuition says, that's not going to work out totally. I'm usually right. But occasionally I get patients, I get practitioners who come in and I think, oh, you're a little bit maybe just not the right fit. And they're amazing. And they suddenly turn out to be amazing and they adapt. So people change and adapt.
And that's something that you learn as you get older, isn't it? Yeah, definitely. And you get better at like giving people a chance. And, also I think we get better as we get older at communicating what we're looking for, what we need, what our philosophy is and things like that. I think that's important as well, isn't it? You can't expect people to adapt and change if you don't make it clear what you're looking for.
And also we learn how to be less convergent. So we take a step back and let people get that extra little freedom to be who they want to be till they find how they want to operate. Because if you put boundaries on people straight away too tight, you can compress them a little bit. You can make them a little bit insecure and shy, and they don't really flower that well. So and also keeping the staff happy. And if you got someone that's not happy, I try to have a chat with them and just nail it straight away and just say, hey, what's going on? Let's have a chat about it. You're not smiling today. And usually it's a personal problem. It's not a problem with the clinic. But the fact that you've gone and you've had a chat with them and say, how are you feeling? What's happening? Oh, my dad is not feeling well and he's living, in Israel, and I'm really not sure if I need to go and see him because it's COVID and my job. And you give them the freedom. You listen to them and you say, do what's right for you and what you feel is good for you. Right? Just saying that
makes people feel so much better.
So much better. Yeah. Because you give them
they've got
space.
Options. Yeah. And space.
An option.
Yeah.
And suddenly they go, oh. So maybe they're thinking, oh, is he going to get pissed off if I go away for 2 months? I'm like, no, I'm not going to get pissed off. That's fine. Just communicate and have a chat. And if you think to go away for 10 years and say, I'll be back in 10 years, might be a different issue. But
you might not be here.
I might not be here. I'm like,
So you're Australian and French.
Yes.
Where did you grow up? Where were you born?
I grew up in Paris.
Were you born in Paris?
Was born in Paris, 14th quarter.
To an Australian mum and
Australian
a French
mum
dad?
from Melbourne and French dad from Paris.
Okay. And so you grew up bilingual, obviously?
Yeah, I grew up bilingual.
And visited Melbourne as a kid?
Went to Melbourne on holiday when I was a kid. Me and my sister, we used to dread it.
Did you? Why?
Because we used to go to Melbourne in the 80s. We used to go in July, August.
Oh, right. Freezing cold.
Freezing cold. So we're like, one year we go to Mallorca and the other year we go to Melbourne in the rain. It's like, wow.
Which would you prefer?
And then my grandfather used to live 3 hours north out of Melbourne in a place called St Arnaud. And that was intense, yeah.
I bet. Oh, my gosh. And so then you went there for university and lived there for a few years.
I went there for university when I was on exchange.
Yeah.
Because I had an Australian passport. And I thought, may as well. I'm going to live with my aunt who's in Melbourne. So that's where I did that. So when I came back afterwards and I started to live in Australia, I lived in Australia for 15 years.
Oh, right. So, and you practiced there as an osteopath?
I practiced there.
And what brought you to Hong Kong?
I was at the time joining a medical practice, Hong Kong, because I used to treat the pilots, the Cathay pilots in Melbourne.
Ah, right.
So I've got introduced to a couple of medical practices here. And on my way to France, I dropped by and had a chat to a few of them. And I ended up joining one of the leading medical practice at the time in Hong Kong.
And you said down at Stanley, you have a lot of French patients. Is that the same for up here in Central? Yes,
we have a lot of French patients.
And do you practice in French?
Yes.
You do? Oh, that's so cool.
I laugh in French too.
And then when you laugh in Australian, Brilliant. That's so cool. And what are your hopes and dreams for your daughters in the future?
It's difficult now, but basically,
And they're so little.
safety
Yeah.
is huge.
Yeah.
Safety and happiness. That's it.
Agree. Totally. Same for me. Health, happiness, safety.
That's it.
Yeah.
And as you
Totally.
get older again, like, you narrow it down. If you're happy, then nothing matters. If you're happy and healthy, the rest is
Absolutely. That
fine.
is so
Yeah,
true.
so
That's all I want for my daughter
all you want
as well,
is
is that
actually-
she's happy,
yeah,
healthy and safe.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's it. The rest-
Yeah,
the rest
totally
is fine.
agree.
I mean, they're going to have their own path. They're going to have their own life, and they're going to have like ups and downs like everyone.
Yeah.
They're going to find themselves and they're going to make mistakes. And sometimes they're going to think they found their niche, and no, they're going to change their mind.
And kids do that, and that's life. And as parents, we need to be just there to support them and encourage them along the way. And you want your kids to be able to come to you and say, I've messed this up, or this has happened. And, I love that my daughter reaches out to me for help and advice, even though she's in her 30s. It's
Yeah.
great.
Yeah, no, totally.
Yeah,
It's-
no judgment.
You want them to be very fluid in their choices. But if they go out a little bit and you think that's going to be a hard boundary, that's when you step in. But otherwise,
Yeah.
they can do what they want, explore what they want, do what they want, travel, if they can, just,
Yeah, if we can ever travel again.
I had a discussion with my wife a few days ago. The social media is really impacting the kids a lot.
Oh my God, I watched The Social Dilemma last night on Netflix. Have you watched it?
No.
Oh my gosh, you must watch it. My listeners out there, check it out. It's frightening. The impact not only that social media is having on the dopamine of the brain and how it's an addiction and how it's influencing mental health negatively, but also just how it can change the world with the protests and the Trump voting, all of that stuff. It's absolutely frightening. So as a medical practitioner, you've got to watch it. You've got to watch it.
I will watch it for sure.
It's full on. And like, I've got to write a drugs program at school, and I was watching this last night and I'm like, this has to be not the whole show, but this concept of social media and technology affecting mental health and releasing dopamine and being addictive, that's got to be in the drugs program. If we want to write an innovative drugs program, it's got to be in there.
Totally.
Yeah. So I've told the vice principal, I'm like, watch this, and we've got to put it. And then if that's in our drugs program, we will have an innovative drugs program, because it's probably the biggest drug affecting teenagers at the moment. It's so interesting and frightening.
Probably leads to many problems.
Higher rate, suicide, cutting,
depression, all that.
mental health. And they show a graph, and the rise has been exponentially so high since 2006 and 2007, when Facebook came in. First came in.
Yeah.
So it's really fascinating. So you must watch it.
And I feel that the social media is, people are trying with social media to fit in certain boxes that are categorized.
Yes,
people.
Absolutely. And there's so much about the algorithms and the AI and how they're watching everything that we do, and then they're selecting stuff to make more money. They're pitching things to us, and they know what we're thinking and what we want, and they're reading everything that we do.
You can
So
see
it's really
it on,
fascinating.
on your phone. Suddenly, you've.
I searched for a barbecue gift for a friend of mine, and then in Facebook, I'm getting things on barbecues, which I have no interest in.
Now you're an expert in barbecues.
I need to do a barbecue podcast. But it's crazy. I can go online, nothing to do with social media, and order a bathing suit. And then all of a sudden in Facebook, there's ads for bathing suits coming up left, right, and center. It's really freaky. Yep. So it was so interesting and frightening. And it's like, we need to limit our social media. And this is the first generation that have grown up with social media. We grew up without it. And even my daughter grew up without it. It didn't come about until she was in her 16. So now there's these kids growing up with it from such a young age, and it's impacting mental health terribly. It's a real, real worry. So, it's something that we as educators and practitioners need to be aware of and address.
It's possible. I feel that there's a possibility that over the next few years, young children, teenagers are going to detach themselves voluntarily. It's not going to be the thing, social media.
That'd be good.
They're going to detach because it's peaking so high, so quickly that it will become cool to be, I'm not on social media. And that trend potentially will start taking over.
I wonder, because there's so much in there about, I just wonder, like, watch this documentary. It'll be so interesting to have. I
will
wonder
watch,
if that will happen. That would be great if that happens, but I have a feeling that it won't. And these guys were all people from Facebook and Google and people who've worked at Twitter. And these were all the guys talking on the podcast. And they're like, these groups and corporations have to do something to change all of this. Like, they've got to take responsibility. It's basically like a few bunch of 25-year-old blokes in Silicon Valley 15 years ago that created this thing that's going to connect people, and it's just gone out of control beyond their wildest dreams of what would have happened. It's so fascinating. And just while I'm here, you've got to watch My Octopus Teacher. Have you seen that?
Is that a movie?
It is a documentary on Netflix. It's absolutely beautiful. It's about this octopus. I don't know why I'm telling you now and all my listeners, but
The Octopus.
My Octopus Teacher. And it's just about this South African guy that spends a year underwater often every day interacting with this octopus. And it's just so fascinating. And it's just so beautiful and moving that everyone should watch it. And you should watch it.
Well, I love
because
octopus. It's my favorite sea creature.
Oh my gosh, you will absolutely love it. It's just one of the most beautiful documentaries I've ever seen. It's amazing. So there's two things you've got to watch. You've got to watch The Social Dilemma, and you've got to watch My Octopus Teacher, and same for my listeners. They're both amazing.
Okay.
Okay, my final question for you, Damien, is if you could be anything in the world, regardless of your skills and your talents, what would you be? Would you be anything else other than an osteopath?
I think I would love to be an artist.
Me too.
So
oh, yes.
I am fascinated with sculpture. I mean, people sculpt marble. I'm like, they're working in negative. The margin of error is like 0. And they come up with those beautiful things. I'm always amazed by it.
It's amazing, isn't
So
it?
everything in the arts, like anything with music, I grew up with a piano in the middle of the lounge room that I just looked at for 17 years and realized that if I tapped a key would make a sound. Like
yeah, but you didn't get into it. Yeah.
And I'm thinking, why did I not play the piano? Why did I not? And then you start getting interested in music as you get older and you don't have time. You know, I would like to have a year.
I started painting at like 49 or something.
I did live drawing when I was about 32, something like that. 30,
cool.
32. And I did it for a few years. It was amazing. I loved it. I think a job would be a really good designing clothes, fashion designers, all those types
I could see you doing that. Yeah.
I really like things that's really nice. I like the shapes where I really like. That's why I like marble, where it's like precise, clean shapes. I find it like...
So that's so interesting that you're saying that, because creativity is really the way of the future as AI is taking over the world, and it's going to be jobs like yours where you've got to interact with people and connect with people to help heal them, and creative jobs that are going to be the most sort of prevalent as we move forward in the future. So creativity is super important. Have I ever told you I've got quite a famous uncle and cousin who are both artists in Australia?
No.
They've been shortlisted for the Archibald Prize and for the Doug Moran Portrait Prize, both of them, and they're both incredible. So one's called Robert Hannaford and one's called Searing Hannaford. Oh. So you should check them out and have a look at their web pages and stuff, but they're incredibly talented. I'm very proud of both of them. They're amazing. And then I come along and try my little paintings. And mine are quite abstract, and they're realists and naturalists in what they do, and a lot of oil. And they're really, I'm going to show you when you're fixing my neck. Okay, Damien, well, thank you so much for chatting to me today. This has been such a pleasure and so interesting. I really, really appreciate it.
Thank you, Julie. That was amazing. And let's fix your neck now. What do you reckon?
Yeah, let's fix my neck. Hang on. But for my listeners out there, if you can go to iTunes and rate and review me for Hong Kong Confidential, that would be amazing. And if you can share this podcast, and if you think that you've got friends or family who will be interested in it, please share it, and that'll help people find Damien. Oh, how can people find you, Damien, if they want to contact you?
Central and Stanley Wellness. It's the website for the clinics. And my name, Damien Moelik, I suppose.
Damien Moelik, and I called you Moelik.
Did you?
Because I'm Australian. And I'll put your details in my show notes
No
so
problems.
people
Thank
can
you so
find
much,
you.
Jules.
Okay, great. So thanks. It's been wonderful. And thanks for listening, everyone. I appreciate everyone's support. You guys rock. See ya. Thank you. Let's fix my neck, Damien. It's killing me. Hi, Confidants. I want to tell you about my Patreon page. I've joined Patreon in the hope of getting sponsorship for my Hong Kong Confidential podcast. Patreon is a great way for my listeners to get on board and sponsor me with monthly payments, and that goes towards my production costs and rewards for my members. If you're interested in checking out my Patreon page, please go to patreon.com and search up Jules Hannaford or Hong Kong Confidential. I would really appreciate you visiting my page. So that brings us to the end of another Hong Kong Confidential podcast. I'm Jules Hannaford. Thanks for joining me, and I hope you'll be with me again next week. If you enjoyed today's podcast, please can you go to iTunes to rate and review it. I would really appreciate your feedback. You can email me at jules@hongkongconfidential.net, and you can find me on Facebook and Instagram at Hong Kong Confidential. If you'd like to hit me up on Twitter, it's at Jules Hannaford. I would love to hear from you.
Love this podcast? Support it and sponsor today. Simply head to AuscastNetwork.com for details.